Association of Nigeria, Austin Ogana. You're welcome to address, sir.
Today's event, we put out there, is themed Free Press and Objective Reporting in 2019 election year. What the idea behind our coming together for this event really is to understand reporting and objective reporting in elections, because we understand how important it is for the right information to go out to readers and the general public during the election. So that is what this event is actually wrapped around. We have the chairman of INEC. He confirmed that he's going to be here, so we'll be interacting with him after your exit. At the same time, I just want to thank you again for coming and hope that you take 1 or 2 questions or 3 questions almost after your address before you depart, sir. Thank you again for coming, sir.
And we'll quickly call on His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to give his remark on this auspicious moment of the 2019 Online Publishers Association of Nigeria, Opan, Free Press and Objective Reporting in the 2019 election year. Vice President.
Publishers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Boston Ogana, the General Secretary, Online Publishers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Daniel Lumba, honored guests and members of the association, ladies and gentlemen. I think that first let me say very quickly that I will be flying through here because I hope that we'll be able to start at 9. But I have another engagement in Oyo State at 11, and I'm really pressed for time. I hope I'll be able to take 1 or 2 questions once I'm through, but I really must run as soon as I'm through with my opening remarks. But let me say also that I'm really quite excited to be here with you. I did not know of the existence of the Online Publishers Association until I was informed I believe a couple of weeks ago. But there was in fact such an association. I hope that there would be an association such as this. I've been involved one way or the other with writing about the press for a while. I co-authored a book titled Media Law in Nigeria in 1990-1991. It's still available. But one of the very important things that came up there was the whole concept of press freedom. And this was in 1990-1991, when obviously all you had was traditional media. As a matter of fact, the only problem that seemed to exist then were people called pamphleteers. In other words, people who just make pamphlets and go and distribute them at customs. They were the only unregulated part of the media in that sense. Whoever dreamt that you guys will ever exist, people who actually have websites that can communicate with millions of people or thousands of people, depending on what that may be, within seconds, even greater reach in many cases than so what can be done? What can be done? I have 3 suggestions. The first is what I believe what you're already doing, is that willing publishers, online publishers, can self-regulate, but I think that it must be more robust. There must be an agreement of some kind of a code of ethics, and everyone who signs onto it opens themselves to some kind of peer review, so that we can actually review what everybody else is doing. A signatory to the code can also carry a special logo on their publication to indicate to the whole world that the publication is one that observes professional standards. Secondly, is to actively support local and international frameworks for preventing the misuse of social media. There's a lot of work going on, locally, internationally in particular. And this, in my view, is self-preservation. It is self-preservation to be able to join others who are saying, let's regulate this space. This space is good for business. I can make a living from this, from the business that I'm doing. If it is better regulated, if it isn't open to charlatans of every kind, I can actually do well in this medium. And so for me, I think it's self-preservatory to be able to cooperate with others who are doing very important work in trying to create some kind of regulated space. Of course, we've got to be always conscious of over-regulation or infractions of freedom of the press or freedom of information. That is why you can't let government be the one that will regulate you. It's important that self-regulation is robust enough to prevent a situation where government or the formal establishment passes laws and things that actually then we need to regulate. I think that once self-regulation is robust enough, it's easier to make the case that you should not have government regulation. Third is to encourage and promote fora such as we have today, where online practitioners can engage and develop by interaction with others. As for elections, I think it affords an opportunity for an online publication to be well established as a credible and speedy source of news and information. News on election results will be so sought after that anyone who can provide them accurately and in a timely fashion will be the go-to site even in the future. So I think that the point to bear in mind is that integrity pays. I mean, it being a publication of integrity always pays. Because while being the first to break news, especially when it's unverified, might bring some traffic initially, but it doesn't take long to lose reputation. It doesn't take long at all. And once the credibility of the publication is down, most people just don't take whatever is there seriously anymore. So this election cycle, in my view, offers a unique opportunity for online publications to examine the prospects of agreeing to some ethical baseline and to even appoint some kind of an ombudsperson, I don't know whether you already have that, paid for by the association, whose business is to receive reports of ethical violations and recommend correction on some agreed online media to establish a firm reputation as not just an unavoidable presence, but as credible interlocutors and purveyors of information. So on that note, I'd like to, again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you this morning and to be here to formally declare open this online publishers conference. Thank you very much.
My name is Emmanuel Olorunmagba. I want to thank the Vice President for this great opportunity. And mine also is a question and also a request. Question in the sense that, is there any arrangement by the federal government of Nigeria to organize conferences like these for online media practitioners? If there is none, I want to appeal to the Vice President to use his office to see the possibility of getting that done for us.
So, my name is David, Dr. David from the Will. How do you feel as a lawyer, professor of law, seeing the CJN and the NPO president being tried for corruption?
This present administration, they've done a lot combating corruption. But unfortunately, I want to precisely say that some security officers in the country are frustrating the fight against this corruption. There is a particular case of corruption involving fraud of over 1 billion naira that I reported to the Economic and Financial Crimes and even to the Inspector General of Police. That case has been investigated, it has been concluded, and for some period of time now, no action has been taken by the Economic and Financial Crimes Office in Port Harcourt. And I've also brought it officially to the notice of the chairman, of the executive chairman of EFCC.
My name is Grace Udofia. Please. Okay, from Greetings FM. Wherein lies the role of the federal government? If it, as a journalist, you report what's true, but you're still tried or chased after.
You have an example?
I take the example of Samuel Ogundipe.
What happened to Samuel?
Samuel.
He reported something. He was reporting something on the police and police was attacking.
David wanted to know how do I feel as a lawyer seeing the CJN and the legal and the NBA president being tried and all of that. Let me say very straight away that the first thing is that perhaps unlike any other law, the President Muhammad Buhari, his whole approach is that institutions should just do their work. I can tell you for a fact that he did not even know about this until Saturday evening. He did not even know that there was going to be any kind of arrangement until Saturday evening. He has said categorically, don't interfere with whatever the institutions are doing. Don't interfere. Sometimes it has consequences such as we have today, such that people say, how can such an important person be subject to a trial without the federal government? But I can tell you, without any equivocation whatsoever, that he is not even, because it's a specific instruction he gave. So even where somebody else calls a public officer, such as Magu of the EFCC, and says something or the other, they say, no, Mr. President has said, I can do my work. In the case of the Code of Conduct Bureau, the man was the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, not the Code of Conduct Tribunal Bureau, where these things are reported to. He's completely new. He's barely 3 weeks. I think he's a month at the job. But the specific instruction to him is, if you receive a petition, whatever it is, go through the process. And sometimes when people ask that question, my answer to it is that I'm even in a less, my position, I'm second in command, as they say, or the vice president. But that's the approach that the president has taken. That if there is credible information, go through. Sometimes when he's even asked, okay, so how come someone has not been tried? How come that has not been tried? He insists, the time will come when whoever it is will face trial, because the wheels of justice, as they say, will go on. So for me, I think it's very important thing. As I said, I'm greatly saddened by the situation where senior members of my profession are subject to any kind of a judicial process. But again, there is no question at all that anybody who is subject to any judicial process is completely innocent until they are found guilty. Completely innocent. There is no basis for saying they've committed an offense until a due process has taken place. But I want to say that the duty of the online, and I would like to see the online press checking out some of these things and finding out, is there even a colorable case here, or is it just people just trying to be fun, or just oppressing? My only answer to what you've said is that I will follow this up. I'd like to follow it up, because many times you get inquiries like that. People say they've made reports. The EFCC usually says we're overwhelmed, we're doing too much, and all of that. But I would like to follow this up, and I'd probably like you to ask, I have here Mr. Would like to follow it up. I certainly will be able to give you a feedback. And yes, I just wanted to know what the role of the government is, where somebody makes a report and then they chase after it. First, let me say, and this may not be very cheerful news, but let me say that everybody who speaks the truth, who investigates powerful people, who investigates authorities, always exposes themselves to the danger that somebody or the other will come after them. And that's so all over the world. And I think that it's important for us to follow through the judicial processes to seek redress. For example, if a person is detained illegally, and there are thousands of cases of that, after your detention, you will go to court and ask for damages and make sure that you follow through. Most people, after detention, they just go and they just do a Thanksgiving service and they continue their lives. But what we should do is to hold the authorities responsible. I've appeared in several cases on behalf of the human rights activists or journalists and all of that. People who have been harassed by the police, or my firm has done so. And I think that it is something that we ought to keep emphasizing. The way that we've been able to check executive excesses anywhere else in the world is by holding them to account through the judiciary. And once people see that they're held to account with the judiciary, then the difference is made. It may take a while, but I think it's still worth the trouble. I think those are all the questions. Those are about all the questions. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, join me as we welcome to this side Honorable Abike Dabiri-Arawa, the presidential debate on Nigerians living in diaspora. I'd also like to call on the representative of the chairman, the acting chairman of the EFCC, who's been represented here by the acting spokesman, Mr. Tony Orilade, to be on the side also of the table. A round of applause for him. Vice that Yadike will go first. A round of applause for him, and thank you very much for coming.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
I'm very happy to be in the business. The truth about it is that online journalism is an area that I have been is so much at my heart.
From the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, we bring you greetings. We would have loved to be here, but he's actually not in town, and I'm here to represent him. Glad that there is an association like this, Online Publishers Association of Nigeria. I want to beg the coordinators, the brain behind this body. Please let us not limit this association to Abuja.
Samuel, it's your time for you to speak. Samuel Ogundigbe is a journalist, and also he works for Premium Times. He'll be speaking with us for about 10 minutes on free press and the accountability of state institutions towards the public.
So what do we do? What do we do as journalists? We are also victims of this nonsense, quite frankly. So but what we are trying to do is to ensure that for every organization that you could say, okay, this is an organization, established ones, we are able to say that the organizations that have faces, we are able to sell them.
Thank you very much and good morning. I congratulate Opan for putting this together. Mr. Ilomba, we never met, and I said to him, you look so gentle, and you write hard things. He said, I'm gentle. So it's nice to be with you this morning. Because I didn't hear what the VP said, I wanted somebody to set the tone, and I'm glad you set the tone. But I'll start by saying that I actually do disagree with you. There is freedom of expression in Nigeria. That is the reality. But should there be freedom without responsibility? Where do you strike a balance? Okay, just yesterday, everybody carried the story that CJN's house was raided. And it wasn't. So you write something, another person copies, another person copies, another person copies. Where is responsibility in that?
My name is Kingsley Morgan, the presidential candidate of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I want to make a few comments as we go to the elections in 2019 regarding the role of the media. First of all, I was at the BBC conference on Beyond Fake News, and I spoke at that conference. Wole Soyinka was the keynote speaker. And that conference was really very good in identifying the dangers of fake news and how we should begin to counter them, more importantly.
We'll just go straight to the point. I'd like to thank the Online Publishers Association of Nigeria for the honor of inviting me to speak at this third annual Online Publishers Association of Nigerian Conference with the theme Free Press and Objective Reporting in the 2019 election year. The freedom of the press has over the years become a mantra, enabling promoters to convey the happening of a country to its masses Very recently, the furor between the Nigerian army and some news outlets raised to be some important questions, not just of national security, but for press freedom as to what should be reported and how it is to be reported.
I must say that I'm delighted to be with you today. I'm delighted to have been invited to give this speech, and I must crave your permission to observe the existing protocol. Our topic today is justice and rule of law, independence and media literacy of Nigerian judicial system. We may probably, or perhaps, start this discussion by asking the pertinent question: what is rule of law? In simple and plain language, rule of law means the equality of both the government and the governed before the law.
All protocols observed. Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here. I thank the President of Opan, Secretary Dan, and members of Opan for this wonderful forum. Briefly, I've listened to, from the time the Vice President spoke, to other distinguished speakers up to this moment. And I will say that much of what can be covered under the theme has been covered. But permit me to just highlight my opinion on one issue that I feel very strongly about, which may not be agreeable to by everybody. But I feel strongly about it, and I will push it, and I'll keep arguing that. Then I'll also briefly talk about regulation.
The great thing is that they are lawyers. I'm not. I used to be a lawyer, but since lawyers started making elections in Nigeria, so I'd rather speak to you as a fellow citizen. They are learned, I'm not. So I can be a little reckless in some of the things I say. Because citizens have a right to be reckless. And because there are powerful lawyers here, they can protect us. Although we are not yet Chief Justice, so we may not be able to afford 71 senior advocates. But we will survive. Now, but I should also say a word of thanks to Opan and to the colleagues here. What you're doing is difficult and unique. The business model of the media marketplace has changed because of you. And it's a very good thing. You know, on the 24-hour news cycle, it's useful that we're able to challenge the kinds of things that put Next out of business. And that's why we've got to be grateful to you, not just for changing the business model, but actually for the courage that you put in. You know, people, the Elomba brothers are ex-convicts like some of us now. That's very good. So we can call them 11. And the more 11s we get, the better, because at a point, unless we create a demand for prison spaces that makes it impossible for government to keep resorting to the enforcement model for protecting, you know, competitive access to facts, and we're not going to be able to challenge this thing. It's unfortunate that people have to go through that for government to be made responsabiliser le gouvernement, as they say in French, to responsabiliser the government. That's the only way to translate it. But it's actually useful and necessary. And you know, sometimes sacrifices needed for that purpose. And we shouldn't be afraid of doing that. I was asked to speak about transparency and elections. But you know, where I come from in this country, or where my parents come from, there's a proverb that the person who attends late at the funeral starts the exhumation of the dead body from the wrong part of the anatomy. And it's quite possible that I'm going to be, you know, whatever I say will be relevant because it's been covered by other people. Mostly, I'm really here for solidarity purposes. Although I will transmit some written remarks for the records to the organizers, but I fully subscribe with a lot of what you have said in terms of what really matters here, which is that we cannot be too uptight about things we don't like. We can't be too uptight about our skins. The world of free expression is contact sport. sometimes you're going to get in contact with things you don't like. But that's the world of citizenship too. And I don't think people should decide that if they don't like things because they're in power, they put you in jail for it, or they put you out of business because of it. I happen to be a skeptic about the notion of fake news, just as he expressed. And that's because there is nothing like fake news. Now, the use of the expression fake news actually conflates three things. Propaganda is one. False news is the second. And the third is mistake. Okay? Propaganda, what is the problem? The people who do propaganda don't want you to compete in the marketplace. So when you want to compete, they disparage you as fake. The people who do false news are the people who we're worried about because they are putting out intentionally false information to misrepresent it as true. There is a framework for dealing with that. And the people who worry about mistake should not worry about mistake because news gathering is human enterprise. There will always be mistakes. When mistake happens, what do you do? Correct. And this really is the framework for, this complements the point Chijioke made about the need, or rather the absence of any need for invoking the criminal law in this matter. Now, I'll just make three other about small points and I'll want to keep it quiet because the day is far gone. Now, we're in a country of perverse incentives and our chairman here has made, Mr. Kade has made a point about trying to correct the electoral register in respect of dead people on the register. But the question we've got to ask is, what is the incentive to anybody to go to INEC and ask INEC to delete a name because the name is dead or should not be on the register? Because in Nigeria, we are dishonest with numbers. Why are we dishonest with numbers? Because everybody believes that the electoral roll or the numbers government collects will give us what? Benefits and advantages in the war of who controls whom in Nigeria. Therefore, if my late father, who was buried in January 1916, is still on the electoral roll as a heir, I don't have any incentive, and my villagers will not love me or like me or forgive me if I go and tell INEC that he's dead, please remove him from the electoral roll. Why? Because if I do so, what is happening is, what they see is that by removing his name, I am removing a benefit that comes to my people when the numbers of Nigerians are computed. So that, because of the absence of that incentive, this will not work. It is up to INEC and to Nigeria to design a framework for making sure that dead people are not on the electoral roll.